Welcome to Interstellar, one of the most brain-fucking movies that ever graced our civilization's balls. This movie is complicated, but do not worry. I watched it 5 times to be able to understand it on a surface level to give you this video. Yes, my single-digit IQ is going to do its best ability in explaining literal gravity in this movie, so bear with me. Before I even start, I need to address the class on what the fuck is even going on. So, Earth is dying from a plague named blight and insane dust storms. Blight has destroyed most of the crops and crippled all the humans. It's pretty much just spicy air, not super cast-wag money. In this movie, for whatever reason, they've stopped all engineering advancements and went back to being caveman farmers. Clearly, they need to come up with some new shit to change the course of the Earth, but they'd rather play farming simulator. Humans pretty much denounced science and went full hog agriculture that is clearly not working in the slightest. According to these two sister fisters, we don't need more engineers. The world needs farmers. The other thing to note that NASA is still around and operational. They've just gone into hiding because the world doesn't really care about their star maps and astro signs. They did, however, find a wormhole by Jupiter that takes them to a new galaxy with 12 new planets, all the galaxy gas one could hope for. Interdimensional beings put it there for them to use and find out the truth. Characters, let's see. Cooper, the man, the myth, the legend. Super smart, leaves his bitch-ass family for his own reasons. He's an ex-NASA pilot and an engineer turned farmer boy. Murphy's Law. She's the smart one of the kids. She probably likes chocolate. I don't know. Coop's son, also smart, but not like Papa. He's more like farming smart. Then we have two Dr. Brand. We're gonna call them Alfred and Catwoman. They both work for NASA. One looks like a dried up nutsack and the other one looks like a not so dried up nutsack. Then, last but not least, we got
The goats.
Case and Tars. You will later find out why they are the boys. Okay, into the actual movie. We start with a bookshelf in Murph's room. This is one of the most important rooms in the entire film. A lot of shit goes on here. Coop is on his way taking his kids to school when he lets Murph shift his gears for him, but he clearly never really explained this. He shifts it harder than a lonely guy at a glory hole. They get a flat tire, and while they are fixing it, a low flying drone passes overhead, and they go on a 5-star chase after it. Coop's like, fuck that tire, kids. We need to steal that government property. They go ripping through some cornfields and hack it, almost die, and tells the kids how it's been flying around for years, and he's gonna steal its catalytic converter for his own combines. They go to school with the drone strapped to the back and the flat tire not fixed. Seems like they somehow are not late, considering the fact that they just went on the craziest side quest. Coop has to go inside for a parent-teacher conference thingy, where he is told that they don't believe in the moon landing and all, and they call his daughter stupid for bringing in a fake book. They're like, fuck science, and tell Coop that they're releasing books about the moon landing and some communist shit. Honestly, I would 100% just leave these two on the planet, no questions asked. Coop just about loses his shit, saying he was always the calmer one between the two of him and his wife, and then he takes Murphy and heads home. When he gets home, he finds out that his smart combines are tweaking because they all drove to the house in a uniform fashion. He thinks that shit is weird, just like the low flying drones was. And for icing on the cake, now Murph has a poltergeist or some shit because she has a literal ghost knocking over books in her room and whatnot. She states that she believes it is trying to communicate to her in Morse code. I mean, I told you she was smart. I'm a grown-ass man, and I hardly even understand Morse code, and she's 12. Coop, in classic dad fashion, is like, you tripping, little girl. He takes his family to a ball game when a dust storm hits, so they have to head back home abruptly. Just have to point out, who is this guy? They forgot to remove this random guy from the scene. He just walks off like he was never even there. Murph realizes she never closed her window, so her and Coop run up there, find some weird ass shit going on with markings on the floor. After some very close inspection and a little bit of praying, Coop realizes, it's no ghost, it's gravity. Like, that would make me feel any better as a kid. Why the fuck is there a black hole forming in my bedroom, bro? He states that the weird markings are coordinates and in binary, not Morse. Again, I'd be fucking tweaking the fact that there's random coordinates showing up on my kid's floor after a dust storm, but he's just like, this is so cool. He takes Murph and heads over to the random dust coordinates that showed up on his fucking floor. God's got the wheel to a whole new meaning. When he gets there, he is zapped and Murph lets out this blood-curdling scream. He comes to find out that this place is NASA, the biggest kept secret, and is being ran by Batman's old friends. This is the moment where the film dumps all of the information you could imagine, so don't worry, I am here to condense. Long story short, there is no long-term solution to this blight shit, and it's gonna rip and tear Earth a new asshole, and his daughter's generation will be the last alive. That's where we have the wormhole. They sent 12 people through to each planet to study them to see if there's any potential to sustain life. It turns out 3 of them kinda, sorta, maybe, might be all right enough to at least check out a second time. So they want to send more people through to check out the 3 to see how bueno they really are and to see if humanity can find a new home. The whole station is a portable house for humanity pretty much, but they can't get it off the ground because they need to solve some insane equation that Alfred is working on. Ever since he realized that gravity can be harnessed, he claims, or more hope, he will have this insane movie equation solved by the time they get the answers back from the other side of the wormhole. That's plan A. Yes, there is a plan B. Plan B is pretty much leave every single human on Earth to die and go into the stars with tubes of fertilized semen and recolonize humanity on whichever bueno planet you can find. How that would even work, I have no idea. Wouldn't there be a lot of cross-mixing genes within the first 100 years? Everyone will turn out to be like the Lannisters from Game of Thrones? I don't really care, nor do I know. What I do know is that they need Cooper because he's the most experienced pilot left on Earth and the only man that has ever flown an aircraft not in a simulation. He the real deal. Alfred says some cryptic shit like, whoever put the wormhole there must have also led him here by finding this place, so it's kind of destiny. You don't want to fuck with destiny, Coop, do you? Coop reluctantly agrees, which pisses off Murph because she doesn't want to see her papa leave and probably never come back because it's space and that shit is big and scary. So she locks herself in a room and Coop, being the good dad he is, tries to console her, but he goes like, listen, dummy, I figured out the message and it says, stay. Haha, nah, sorry fam. He gives her a watch before he heads out and he says,
due to the science and space and shit, when I travel near black holes and other stuff, the time will move differently, so let's compare our notes when I get home.
She says, fuck your watch, and yeets that shit. So he just leaves, and as he's leaving, the ghost pushes books off the shelf. Like, I don't care what you believe in. That shit would make make me reconsider every single decision in my life. But Coop doesn't give a fucking shit, and he gets on the ship with Catwoman and two other dudes named Rami and Doyboy. The crew flies up to the last NASA station called Endurance with their high-tech space shuttle called the Ranger. So they end up docking into the Endurance and get the spins out of excitement for leaving their families behind or to simulate gravity, but probably a mix of both. They then go into cryosleep for 2 years until they reach Saturn and give the reins over to two super sick robots to handle the shit while they sleep. Once they get there, they wake up and they are greeted by the wormhole where shit gets wild right off rip. They start seeing fifth dimensional beings without needing to take drugs, going as far as shaking one of their hands. Once they break free of the wormhole, they head to the closest planet, which is Miller's planet. But they're kind of have a huge fucking issue. The planet is orbiting way too close to this insanely fucking huge black hole that distorts all of time. So they're forced with a choice of either going to the two farther planets, which will waste multiple years of time, or just biting the bullet and heading down to Miller's planet. The issue is, like I said, time is all fucked up on Miller's planet. So every hour is 7 years back on Earth because it's so close to the black hole. Time and space are so fucking cool and so scary at the same time. I'm a professional caveman, not a scientist, but if a planet is that close to a black hole, how the fuck would you even be able to make it livable? So what would even be the point of checking this place out? However, they still choose to head down to Miller's planet to rescue Data, trying to make it in and out. So the gang gets ready to head out, but decide to leave Rom on the station to study the black hole while they were down there. And boy, howdy. Can you imagine what happens when they get down there? They end up wasting a shitload of fucking time. You see, Miller's planet is a gigantic pothole with an endless tsunami that crashes over you every 30 minutes. Miller, not knowing this, must have landed on the planet and gotten swooped up by the waves, killing her and destroying most of the ship and the Data. Catwoman single-handedly almost ends the movie right here because she wastes so much time going for the useless Data from Miller's fucked up ship, completely ignoring Cooper, telling her to get back to the ship because what she thought was mountains are gigantic fucking waves about to swallow them up. So Catwoman, trying to get everyone killed, is now stuck. So Case has to do some cool robot shit and goes and saves her, and the other dude gets eaten up by a wave. They have to use the Ranger as a surfboard down the backside of the wave. Cooper tries to start up the engines but can't because it's flooded the fuck, now making them wait another 45 minutes to get it started up. Cooper uses this time to scold the hell out of Dr. Brand because what the actual fuck were you doing? They literally have the survival skills of a Boy Scout group. Explain to me how you see a wave touching the clouds and you still decide to fuck off and do what you want. The whole point of coming here was to see if it was livable for humans. I could have told you with the first sight with those waves. There is no fucking way. After the scolding, they realize another wave is about to hit the Ranger, so they fire it up and get out of there just in time. And when they make it to the Endurance, they found Rom has aged 23 years because it turns out they wasted a lot of fucking time.
23 years, 4 months, 8 days.
Poor Cooper goes to watch 23 years of messages from his family, and this is the part that will make a grown man cry. He starts with messages from his son, ranging from him growing up, getting married, having a kid, and the kid dying, watching his own son grieve over the kid alone. Then comes Murphy, sending her first message ever. It turns out she's the same age Cooper was when he left. This is just as gut-wrenching as it sounds. Hopping over to Murph, she is now all grown up working for Dr. Brand at NASA because she is actually smart and not just farming smart. She is trying to help Alfred solve the unsolvable equation when she notices there's some fucked up math going on, stating he is trying to solve this with 2 arms tied behind his back or something like that. Don't even ask me to explain this shit. It actually spans across multiple fucking chalkboards. I have no idea what is going on. All I know is it has something to do with gravity, and now there's something fishy about it because he's not trying to solve it. He says,
I'm just an old man. I don't know what you're talking about. I'm gonna go send some messages to my daughter.
Meanwhile, back in the middle of the fucking universe, they have wasted so much fuel from hovering for 23 years that they can only make it to one of the 2 planets now. Man's planet and Edmund's planet. Edmund, which is further, but has more promising data, however, has stopped transmitting a while back. And Man is still transmitting, but with shit data, so that's the dilemma. They decide to have a vote on where to go, and we find out Catwoman is in love with Man.
Is that true?
Yes.
She says some stupid shit like following her heart and that love is unexplainable and that's where they should go. Hey, not saying following your heart is a bad thing, but in this case, you are a scientist. Why would you not follow the data? You are in the literal middle of nowhere. Follow the data. But they decide to go to Man's planet, which is closer and still transmitting. On their way down there, they smack a frozen cloud. That's a fantastic sign. Imagine a whole sky being clouds with no break and they just blast right into one of these things, ending the movie right here. Yeah, that'd be a pretty shitty way to go. Anyway, they get down there and it looks like Russia in the wintertime. They make it to Man and wake his ass up from hypersleep. Turns out he's an overly emotional baby, Matt Damon. The gang tells him that this planet and his data is the last hope. So he starts telling them about how his planet is cold as hell and you can only breathe the air for 2 minutes before you croak. He says the crust is not the surface and there's more underneath this hellscape like breathable air and it can support life. The gang is super stoked about this information when they receive a message from planet humans. It's Murph telling Brand that the other Brand has died and that the equation has never been solved and will never be solved because he was a lying sack of shit. Old man Brand just wanted them to go along with plan B from the start, the space seaman, remember? He says there was never any hope for the humans on Earth. Then Dr. Man starts telling them that Brand knew the humans wouldn't be able to work together to save the species and they go all lone wolf because primal instincts. Dr. Man knew about the equation and that it wasn't going to be solved, or that it technically couldn't be solved, it just needs more data. Data that is inside of a black hole, which is obviously not the easiest data to obtain. So everyone is kind of fucked. Cooper is not having any of this and goes, fuck this mission, fuck you guys, I'm out. He just wants to get back now so he can see his kids. So the plan right now is Coop to help them set up shop on the surface of this planet to get the space seaman working, and then after that he's going to dip and go home. On the way back to the wormhole, he will shoot TARS with an upgraded part from Kip, which was Man's robot, into the black hole so they can receive the data and finish the equation. Man disabled Kip, though, for a very super duper fishy reason. Dr. Man takes Coop to a place that supposedly you can enter the planet so that they can get down there and start setting up shop. On his way, he starts spouting all this crazy voodoo, survival, deep spiritual shit, which would 100% make me not trust him immediately. He turns to Coop and flicks off his radio transmitter, shoves him off a cliff, they start fighting, and ends up cracking Coop's visor. So you see, Man is a professional bitch that faked all of his data so he had a higher chance of people coming to save him so that then he could steal one of their ships and then continue on with the mission. As you can guess, there is no surface to this planet. This planet is, and it was always, a no-go. So he leaves Cooper there to die, but with sheer movie luck, Cooper finds his tiny radio transmitter and contacts Dr. Brand and Case, who then hop in one of their ships and come save his ass. Which, flying over here takes way too long because Coop and Man walked over here in only a short little bit, and Man is already almost back to the original ship, so he can steal it and continue on with his mission. So what the fuck are they doing? Brand arrives just in time before Coop runs out of air, and Rom gets his ass blown up because he tries to start up Kip, which has been tampered with from Dr. Man. They pick up TARS and resume chasing after Man, who is now in the Ranger on his way to the Endurance. Man makes it to the Endurance before they do and tries to dock, but fucks that up really bad and tries to open it by force so he can get into the space station while spewing,
I have to save humanity, honky tonk.
but at this point, Matt Damon has said his lines and the movie's done with him. Literally, watch this. So, with that, Man dies, and the Endurance blows up, losing a fat chunk of it, sending it spinning downwards towards the planet's atmosphere. But Coop's like, hold my beer. And in the most ass-clenching scene of the movie, he goes full hog underneath the station, matching his spin with the rotation of the Endurance, lines it up perfectly, docks it, and then proceeds to push it out of the planet's atmosphere. However, they are not saved just yet, because now they are heading straight towards the black hole. Cooper, being the smart man he is, knows he's fucked, and he isn't going to be making it back to his kids. He says, screw it, and lets the black hole suck him in just enough to be able to slingshot themselves to the third planet. He uses all of the fuel and detaches the lander and their last Ranger, with him and TARS in it, so they could shed enough weight and allow Catwoman to make it to the third planet with Case, hopefully being able to escape the black hole's gravity. So he does all of that in a beautiful sacrifice for the humans. He gets sucked right into the black hole, but comes to find out he didn't die. Instead, he starts having the craziest trip of his life by falling through all of the moments in time in one place. And boom, that place is Murphy's bookshelf, where he sees himself leaving that day. So he knocks over the books in Norse code and spells out, stay. You picking up on what's going on here? That boy is the fucking ghost. TARS starts talking to Coop and tells him that he has received the data from the black hole, but doesn't have service. So he isn't able to send it back out of the black hole because it's a damn black hole. So super smart Coopy writes down the coordinates of NASA in binary so he can make it here in the first place. Then he tells TARS to feed him the data. He then translates it to Morse, feeding it into the watch that he gave Murph at the beginning of the film, who goes back to her room when she's all grown up to find the watch is the answer to the unsolvable equation, and also figures out that her dad was her ghost all along.
It was you. You were my ghost.
She is able to solve the equation and is like, fuck you bitches, we are leaving. Then the place starts collapsing and he travels back through the wormhole where he shakes Catwoman's hand. That's right. He was the fifth dimensional being from when they were traveling through the wormhole in the beginning of the film. And just like that, he wakes up in Cooper Station. Yay! The station is just a giant tube that Murph got off of Earth because of the gravity equation. Coop goes to see his 114-year-old daughter, says his goodbyes, and then steals a spaceship because Catwoman is still out there all alone. Not gonna lie, my single-digit IQ brain hurts from this one. That's the end of it. That's it. Regardless, this is one of my favorite movies, so it gets a solid Alan the Alien out of 1 Viltrumites. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you have a very blessed, something lovely.